Welcome to episode 9 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast for sharing tips, apps, and gear for iPhone and iPad, along with other technologies that gets you using iOS in a fun and productive and meaningful way. I'm your host, David Ginsburg, and Melissa is on vacation leading up to MacStock next weekend, July 15th and 16th, which we'll mention in a little bit. But we do have a great treat. I'm thrilled to be joined by Guy Cyril. How are you doing, Guy?
I'm doing just ducky. I'm feeling good.
Great.
Yeah, MacStock. I'm. This is the third. Now you've gone to the previous two, haven't you?
I've spoken at the first two. It'll be the third one here. Let me just tell everybody who you are. You're from the mymac.com podcast, as well as you do a great thing with Mac to the Future, which is on Facebook and other places. You do a live Facebook. I try to join all the time and have a lot of fun talking about stuff. Do you want to tell a little bit about the Mac for the Future and all those things that you do?
Sure. Well, I do the mymac.com podcast. I do that with Gazmaz, who coincidentally enough kind of got his start in podcasting with Mike Potter over at the For Mac Eyes Only,
which I'm on that podcast as well.
Right. And Mike Potter is the I'm not quite sure how to, because the idea for MacStock actually came from not just Mike, but from Barry Falk as well.
Right.
So between the two of them, they're the ones that started MacStock 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago.
Right.
And I just love that show. But getting back to mymac.com, here I go. I'm going all over the place.
Okay.
La, 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 la,
so
la.
I'm glad you're here. We'll have a great chat.
That's what I do. So Gaz and I took over the MyMac podcast back in 2009, I think it was, with episode 285, and we just recorded 664. So we've been doing it for a while. It's a weekly show. We have a great time with it. It was originally started by the owner of mymac.com, the website. That was Tim Robertson.
Right.
And he went off to do other things and made the horrible mistake of giving Gaz and I the opportunity to take over the show. And we just haven't let him back in since. So, kind of works out well for everyone except Tim. The Facebook thing that I do with Mac to the Future is something that I've kind of wanted to do for a long time. I'm really, really interested in live casting and how the various applications, not just with the Mac and PC, but I believe that there are some now available for iOS as well,
right?
Or for the mobile platforms. And I'm kind of fumbling my way through it. I have actually 3 different applications that I've tried with it so far, and this isn't a Mac show, so I won't go all into that.
Right.
But I have a great time doing it. The guys over at Mac to the Future, again, kind of like with Tim, made the mistake of thinking that I actually knew what I was doing, and that I would just be able to hit the ground running with a live cast on the Mac to the Future page. It hasn't quite worked out that well. I've had some amazing audio failures. The video has been fine. That's worked out really, really well. But I've had some amazing audio failures with live casting.
I was there that one night.
Oh yeah. And what that turned out to be was kind of a weird thing with Rogue Amoeba's loopback program.
That's right.
Yeah. But I mean, I did manage to get it fixed, but at the same time, when I realized what had happened, it was like, oh, you stupid man. But getting back to iOS, now what I kind of use iOS for, especially when I'm mobile, and at the core, these are mobile devices. So a lot of the things that people should be thinking about doing with them is when they are mobile. So I have used I have a 12.9 inch first gen iPad Pro, and I've used that along with my iPhone to record podcasts and use Skype to record into it because Apple, in their infinite wisdom, refused to let people kind of cross-pollinate with audio with some of their applications.
Right.
So we can't record Skype in iOS from a single device. So what I end up doing, I've got a small, it's a small little mixer, I guess. It's from IK Multimedia.
Yep.
And it is the iRig Duo Pro, and you'll see it this weekend. I'll have it with me, and that gives me 2 XLR ports. So I have a microphone that I plug into one. Oh God, what is the name of that company? It's the Audio Technica.
Yes, I have
ATR 2100, which is a fantastic microphone.
Yeah, both Melissa and I both have this mic I'm talking on right now as well. It's an amazing mic,
and especially for the money,
for its price. I mean, you get it less. I've seen it as cheap as $60.
Yeah, and there's actually I don't know if you've heard of this one. There's a company called Knox, KNOX, that makes it's kind of a clone of the, not so much the ATR 2100, but the ATR 2005, which is for all intents and purposes the same microphone with a different head on it. And it's like $40, but it's got the same. You've got an XLR port, you've got a USB port, you've got a headphone monitoring jack. I mean, if you held them up, the only thing that you could really tell the difference between them would be the color. The ATRs have kind of a silver color, and the Knox microphones are kind of a dark gray. Okay. But again, I have tested them side by side. I can't tell any difference. Of course, I'm 56 and my ears aren't what they used to be based on rock concerts in the 70s. But, for my ears, they sound almost exactly alike.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit cheaper.
Okay. Not to get too into the podcasting life, I know that's what we both love doing. I wanted to ask you, what do you use your iOS devices for everyday use? Because a lot of our listeners, some of our listeners are seniors, are looking to get maybe an iPhone or an iPad, or they might even be trying to use it. And that's what Melissa and I both do. We teach a lot of people how to use their devices. Well, what do you use your iPhone or iPad or both in your everyday use for personal reasons, not necessarily podcasting?
Okay, well, putting podcasting aside,
right?
I use my iPad every single day, and I have a cellular one, so I have an actual connection to the internet apart from being on Wi-Fi. Email, going online, of course, games and watching movies and TV, and all that kind of stuff. And the thing that I love about iOS devices is that, honestly, and I've had this opinion for a long time, for most people that aren't doing things like podcasting or trying to edit pro video, and the kinds of things that so-called, and I'm holding my fingers up here in quote marks, pro users complain about with iOS devices. If you're not doing that kind of stuff, you don't need a Mac. You don't need a PC running Windows or a laptop running the Mac OS. And that's not to say that those aren't also great devices. But if your needs are relatively light, Facebook, email, content consumption, you are actually much better off using something like an iPad in conjunction with your iPhone, because with iCloud, all of the documents and everything else that you would create on either your phone or even now on your desktop computers, you can also get access to from your iPad.
Right.
And when you get an iPad and you use it with something like the Logitech Create keyboard or Apple's Smart keyboard, you have a laptop.
Right.
Now, looking forward, of course, you saw all the kind of cool stuff that's coming with iOS 11.
Oh, it's really exciting.
I cannot wait. I've been waiting for some of these features for a really, really long time. There is less and less reason to buy something like a Mac if you're I hate using things like casual user or, not pro user, because it almost sounds like I'm saying, well, your use of a computer isn't quite as beneficial as when I use my computer. That's nonsense. That's BS. How people use their computers and what they use their computers for, it's entirely up to that person. And to say that somebody isn't a serious user because they're on an iOS device versus a Windows PC or a Mac computer is it's crap. And, these people need to get their heads out of their asses.
Yeah. No.
Whoops. Sorry. I didn't mean to say that.
We'll see where it goes with that one. And that's the thing. And then Apple did come out with the fifth gen, quote unquote, fifth gen iPad, which is the most inexpensive one you can purchase. I think you can get as low as $349. Well, the price is $349. I've seen as low as $299. For someone who just, like you said, it just needs email, Facebook, simple stuff like that. I mean, I think that's the best iPad you could purchase right now. And it's, I think it's 32 gigs of storage or 64, one of those.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly fine. I mean, I have the new one, the 10.5 inch iPad Pro. Oh my gosh, what a difference. I mean, I just sold my Pro 9.7, and you definitely can see a difference. I mean, as far as the performance, and we've talked about it with the 120 hertz reaction to the screen and all that stuff. But it really is a great iPad. Now, the same thing with the iPhone. I mean, I think you have both devices that you're working with, and you like you mentioned with iCloud, it's very easy to sync all the information between the two devices, and you don't ever have to worry about something not being there when you're using it.
Yeah, and the other great thing about using something like iPads and iPhones is that unlike with certain other mobile platforms, because I won't Android. Sorry, I won't say who it is because I don't like going in that direction.
Yeah, I know.
But Apple keeps these devices up, and you can, so far as time has gone on, and remember, we're 10 years into iOS at this point.
10th anniversary.
As time has gone on, you can count on being able to use whatever device you get, whether it's an iPad or an iPhone, for at least 4 years.
Right.
And get security updates, get operating system updates. Now, your 4-year-old iPad, is it going to work as well as a brand new one? No. True. But neither will a 4-year-old laptop versus a brand new one. It's really a question of where you put your priorities, where it is that you want to go with your computing devices. And iOS, for most people, again, is a perfectly fine device.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it as you said, Apple's been pretty generous when it comes to letting equipment in general that they sell, whether it be laptops, desktops, or even iOS devices.
Sure.
With the iPhone, I think the 5S will still be around when iOS 11 comes out. I believe if I remember correctly, I don't think they cut off the 5S as of yet.
Not the 5, but I believe the 5S will still be okay. Yeah, and of course, for people that like the smaller form function for a phone, you've got the iPhone SE, which is the same size, with basically the guts of a 6S.
6S, right?
I think inside of them.
I actually have one. I bought one on a Groupon a while back, and it was so cheap. I was like, well, I want to have them, so I have iOS 11 on it, so I can play.
Right.
I get nervous when I put it on my production devices. I just, no, I can't do it. At least not for, I'm not like Barry Falk who installs it immediately when it comes out.
Yeah. Well, I have a 2013 MacBook Pro.
Right.
And I just installed the beta for 1013 on it. And so far, I haven't really pushed it yet. But so far, it's working great. And one of the benefits of working within an all Apple ecosphere is that the interconnectivity between things like their computers versus their mobile devices, everything for the most part, and it's not all roses, but for the most part, everything does work together and work well.
Right.
So when Mac OS 10.13 comes out in its regular form, and everyone is going to be on the new Apple file system.
Right.
Well, that new file system now is going to be across the board, whether you're on iOS or whether you're on the Mac OS, you're going to be using the same file system. And in conjunction with the UI changes that they've made for iOS 11, this is a fantastic time to be an Apple user, and I'm delighted. Now, I haven't gone to the beta for iOS 11 because I have a iPhone 6 Plus,
sure,
and that's my only iOS device, and I use that. Oh, sorry, that's my only iOS phone,
right?
And I use that every single day.
Yeah,
so I really can't afford to take a chance and have it not work. Whereas with 10.13, Mac OS 10.13 on my laptop, if for whatever reason I go out to MacStock and it stops working, well, hey ho, I've got everything that I have as far as creating podcasts go. I can do in iOS, I'm okay.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just a really exciting time, I think, for Apple in general. It's what they're doing. iOS 11 is going to make a huge impact on a lot of people's lives.
Oh yeah,
and I look back because we'll talk about MacStock in a little bit here. But when I spoke last year and I spoke about how your iPad could potentially be your full-time computer, I was a little skeptical during that period of time because it was still relatively new. But now, looking at this new version coming up soon, you could even lean me more towards the other side, and I think that this could be your full-time device. Now,
easy.
You're going to have skeptics out there. There are some people who are hardcore people that work on Macs all the time, and I understand that. But I think majority of the people that are looking for a device that's a full-time computing device. I mean,
and secure,
you could live with it. I'll be going on a trip pretty soon here. I'm actually going to Florida myself the week after.
Oh, nice.
Week after MacStock, and I'm going to try it. I'm going to try bringing just my iPad and see how I survive for a week. We're going to be heading out. I'm flying into Tampa, and we're going to go out to drive over to Miami.
Okay, close to my old hometown of Fort Lauderdale.
Yep. So we're still trying to head up that way and maybe catch a baseball game and all kinds of other stuff. So.
Are the Cubbies playing? Is that what you're telling me?
They're not.
Damn.
But I was still tempted to go see a game anyways. I am a baseball fan because it's just right after the All-Star break. Actually, the All-Star break is this coming week. So we'll see.
Did you ever make it out to Macworld Expo?
Never did. That was the bummer part. I came into this podcasting world very late in life, and I'm making up for it right now. So not bad for a guy who hadn't done anything, and all of a sudden I have almost 9 episodes of a podcast. So no, I did not make it out to that. I wish I would have. I know I wanted to go many times, but
I went to the last 7.
Okay.
Macworld Expos from 2000. Actually, the very first one that I went to in San Francisco was when Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone.
That's odd.
I was at that keynote. I was at that keynote.
Were you in the auditorium or were you?
Yes, I was.
Oh, you lucky dog.
And actually, you ever heard of a movie called Mac Heads?
I think so.
If you watch the beginning of that movie, and it has, Steve Jobs walking around the stage starting to talk about the iPhone, you'll see a guy standing there with a ponytail holding up a video camera.
Yeah, back in
that was
days,
me.
They hated when people did that.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so there's a shot of me at the Steve Jobs keynote for the iPhone. But that, which of course has absolutely nothing to do with the point I was about to make. For the last 3 Macworld Expos, I did not take a laptop. I did everything with my iPhone.
Yep.
And an iPad. And that was a 3rd generation iPad. I was creating podcasts.
Yeah, I had that model.
I was editing podcasts. I was writing blogs. I was, doing all the typical stuff that you would do at a Macworld Expo, and doing it all with iOS. Now, on the minus side of that, it did take me a lot longer to do some of these things as compared to doing it on a laptop, but I was able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it was doable. You just had to adapt. I mean, and just like,
Yeah, and that was
just like
3,
anything,
4 years ago.
and then just like anything that you work with. I mean, it was the same thing when I work my full time job. Obviously, I'm doing IT support. I have to support Windows, and I've seen the evolution of Windows. Believe me, and just what we had to experience with Windows 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's the same thing. You knew how to do what you had to do to get what you needed to get done. But even on the Windows side now, you go out and look at what they're doing now. I mean, I think their efficiencies are even more advanced than they've ever been. And the same thing with Apple. I mean, they've done that too. So, but yeah, definitely is a good thing. So, but let's move on here. I know we're all excited about iOS and iOS 11, and we'll definitely be touching upon that on future episodes and discussing that. So. Other thing that's coming up actually this week, as I thought caught my eye, is Amazon Prime. Do you partake? I'm assuming you're an Amazon Prime customer, or are you not?
I am.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth it. I mean, it really, in the long run. I mean, of course, it makes me buy way too much stuff. Well,
sure.
That's
well,
that's
honestly,
my problem.
I was for a while. I was considering dropping it.
Yeah.
Because I found the one great benefit of Amazon Prime was free shipping, and it would be priority shipping, so it'd be a lot faster.
Exactly, that's what a lot
than
of people
the free
wanted,
shipping that you would get if you were just Joe Schmo from Idaho and ordering something from Amazon. But they've kind of taken some of that away. But they've added other things in if you're a Prime member, like music, TV shows, movies.
And that's what I was going to talk about.
Unfortunately, being an Apple guy, I've got Apple TVs here at the house.
Same here.
And what is the one channel that you cannot get on your Apple TV prior to when iOS 11 or the next version of tvOS comes out? And that was Amazon. Yep. So it was like, there are these shows I want to watch, but if I want to watch them on my TV, I've got to get out of not just the Apple TV UI, but also I have to deal with the television UI, and they're all horrible. And get to Amazon Prime that way. And it was just such a pain in the neck that half the time, even if it was a show that I really wanted to see, I just wouldn't do it. But now with Amazon Prime TV and movies and all the rest of that coming back to the tvOS, I'm anticipating that I'll use it a lot more. So I've decided I'm going to stick with it for a while, and we'll see what happens from there. One great thing about Amazon Prime is that you can use your method of payment to Amazon in other sites rather than just ordering it through Amazon. Like, for example, I just bought a new SSD, and I'm hoping it's going to get here before Tuesday for my laptop, a slightly bigger one. And I got it from OWC, MacSales.com. Yeah. Not that, this isn't a plug for MacSales.com. No, but one of their payment methods is that you can use your Amazon payment method through them. And that just makes it, it basically means that instead of having to juggle multiple credit cards, multiple online accounts.
PayPal.
Yeah. I can use just one or two for nearly everything that I do online as far as purchasing goes. And that's, that's a great benefit. And that alone, as part of, I believe that is part of Prime, is something that I really like.
Yeah. No. And just on the iOS side of things, the three primary apps they have is the Amazon Music, and you can get the Amazon Unlimited service. I'm a subscriber to that, as well as Apple Music, and there's some things you can listen to on Amazon that I think is nice. Same thing with the videos. You have an iOS version of that, and I can't wait for it to come on Apple TV finally, and we don't have to be doing AirPlay to show movies from our devices.
Right.
And then the photos. That's the big thing too, and that's obviously Google has that with their Google Photos. Apple does it with the Photos app in itself. I know Amazon just changed that not too long ago, where they used to have unlimited access to the storage. But now it's going to be limited, I believe, to 1 terabyte, or they're limiting it to a little less. But the nice thing is the photos are still free, so you can still do the same thing that you do with Google. And that's the thing. Apple does allow when you have an iCloud account, Apple does allow you to be able to store all your photos and music and all that kind of stuff onto the cloud. But of course, you got to pay for that. But I think for what Apple charges in the iCloud it's well worth it. But it's always good to have other places to back things up. I mean, you're always talking about backups. You should always have 3 backups of everything. Well, in the cloud should be the same thing. And then that's the great thing. You have 2 services alone that allow for free storage of your photos. Why not take advantage of them?
Right. Well, and I was actually talking to my wife this morning. She does not have a password manager. She basically just, has everything written. Oh, crap. Hello, Kitty. Has everything written down. Yeah, I just got visited. And I looked at her. I said, well, if something happened and, these pieces of paper got destroyed, you would lose all of your passwords. Oh, well, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no. You need to have some method of having all of your passwords and other types of data on some kind of encrypted service. Yep. So that if the house burns down or, the cats eat these pieces of paper for whatever reason that cats would do that you can get this stuff back. Or you're out and about. You go up and visit one of your friends in New Jersey or wherever, right, and you need to log into one of these services, but you don't have that password with you because it's back on a piece of paper at the house. Yep. And she just rolls her eyes and says, yeah, when's that ever going to happen?
Yeah, well, it could. Yeah. I mean, you misplaced a piece of paper. It's easy to do.
Very easy to do.
Done that plenty of times. 1Password's my favorite, and I think
that's the one I use as well.
Most of our listeners are probably knowing that because we always talk about it all the time, and I do a lot of. I've done training sessions on it in the past, so yeah, that's one of my recommendations.
And it's also one of because a lot of the password managers have gotten hacked recently.
Yeah, like LastPass had its issues. So, I mean, I'm not saying 1Password is any more perfect than the rest of them.
But so far they haven't been hit.
And their interface is great too. And in fact, I met someone who was one of the interface designers last night. It was at Barry's party, his barbecue, and he was talking about it. He's talking about it, and
was that at his house?
It was, of course.
The house with the amazing sinks.
Yeah, exactly. And it brought back memories. We had the tent up, and we had fun and a nice time. And he came out, and he's one of the interface designers, so it was great. I kept telling him what great 1Password is, and it definitely is. It definitely is a good program. So.
Yes.
So Amazon Prime is going to be on July 11th, and that's always a fun time, and it's probably one of the busiest times you get on their website. And their site usually is able to handle all the extra traffic because people are going to be slamming that site. I can guarantee you. I've done it in the past. I think I remember.
Yeah. Could you imagine if they did this around Christmas time?
Oh gosh.
December 20th, we're going to have an Amazon Prime Day. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, just kill the internet, Amazon. Go ahead. I mean, good job.
They always have good deals because I remember last year I bought a pair of Sony Bluetooth headphones. They were really
nice.
Good. They were normally $110. I got them for $45. I mean, that's the kind of deals you're going to see. And you go on their website and it tells you there's even a Prime Day Insider's Guide. So they go all out with this thing. So check it out. I definitely think you'll find some deals and could even find some iOS related deals too.
Sure.
So check that out. Moving on, I want to talk a little bit about some news that was out there. If anybody doesn't remember a company called Jawbone. Jawbone, for me, I remembered having, and I still have it. I'm looking up at my case here, and the Jawbone Bluetooth earphone that was always in everybody's ear. That very famous looking Jawbone is going out of business, and I was kind of sad to see that. But they had kind of refocused their business a while ago, and it was more towards the fitness arena, and they were a direct competitor with Fitbit. So we have a link in the show notes on the Verge report talking about their turmoil that they've been dealing with, and they had quite a legal battle with Fitbit. So it was kind of sad to see. In fact, there's the picture of one of the recognizable Bluetooth earpieces that went around your ear, and everybody would have them. But yeah, it's kind of sad. I want to know what you think about this.
It doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Part of the problem with so many of these companies, and it's the same thing that almost killed Apple, is that for the most part, yes, hello, cat, they are one-trick ponies. And being a one-trick pony, if somebody outdoes your trick, you're kind of screwed. I mean, you look at what happened with BlackBerry.
Right.
You look at what happened with Apple in the 90s, when the only thing that they really did of any significance was the Mac. It wasn't until the iPod, and then going forward from there, the iPhone, that Apple no longer had to worry as much about the popularity of what was considered their primary product, which at the time was the Macintosh. So if you're a company and you're only known for one thing, you really kind of need to worry about that.
Right,
and
right.
Jawbone tried, by going into things like fitness and a few other areas that they were working on, they were trying to kind of branch out. Unfortunately, their plans for branching out also ran afoul of what Apple was doing and what Android was doing, and a few other large companies with much deeper pockets. And if you're going to compete against Apple, well, you need to bring something new to the table. And unfortunately, Jawbone
they didn't. They
just didn't.
They weren't evolving. I mean, yeah, the Bluetooth experience was there for many years, and that's what came in. They were 1997, I think this company started. So
yeah.
Throughout the 2000s, that's what their big business was. That, and then they also had speakers. They were coming out with Bluetooth, and they just never evolved with that. So then I guess they refocused their business to the fitness arena, and then that just kind of put their demise. In fact, the article does say that was one of America's favorite Bluetooth speakers.
Sure.
That big jam box that had a pretty good sound back in those days.
Well, and now their primary focus is going to be on health-related products and services.
Yeah, so they're going to spin it off.
Yeah, they're doomed. Honestly, if that is truly what they're going to do, they're doomed, because this is what Apple is doing, not just with hardware, but with software as well through iOS. And if you think you're going to compete for the high-end market when the high-end market is already being covered by the company that makes the high-end phone,
right,
that's not really a business model that has any real hope for the future, as far as I can see.
Yeah. So again, with a lot of other companies out there, they're just kind of going to go off to the sunset. Like I said, BlackBerry's another one that just
But eventually, I think what'll happen is somebody will buy out their patent portfolio.
Yeah, that's probably what'll happen.
And then they'll start suing Apple. So that's their mission statement going forward.
Good segue into the next article we were talking about.
As a matter of fact, it is.
Qualcomm. Qualcomm is a chip company that's made chips for a very long time. They put chips in pretty much every smartphone that is out there. That's the modem part, the device that allows you to be able to communicate over your device, and
wirelessly.
Wirelessly, right? And Qualcomm is actually asking the U.S. to ban new iPhones from coming into the country because there's a big lawsuit between Qualcomm and Apple because Apple thinks that Qualcomm's not being very fair to them as far as what they're charging for the chips. So they even looked even beyond that to get the Intel chip, because Intel makes the same chip, and they had been starting to put those in there. But the problem was those Intel chips were slower. So what would Apple do is they were actually matching the speed of the Intel chip from the Qualcomm chip, which made absolutely no sense to me. Why would you want to slow down the use of a chip and not allow it to go faster than it should? So a lot of anti-competitive practices that they're accusing, and so it's going to be an interesting direction to see where this goes. So I don't know what you thought about this.
Well, it's not just Apple that has a problem with them. There's a lot of companies that are in a fight with Qualcomm, and now they're still. I think the difference between Apple's fight and some of these other companies' fight is the other companies are continuing to pay the licensing fees, where Apple's just like, you know what, if you're going to charge us this ridiculous amount of money per unit, we're just not going to pay it at all, and we'll just take it to court. And it just so happened right at the same time as that was all going on, the ITC for the U.S. is also in a battle with Qualcomm, for pretty much the same reasons. They're saying that the amount that they're charging for what is essentially it's an essential what's the word I'm looking for? It's an essential patent to make these devices all work.
Right.
And there are certain conditions that essential patent makers have to be very, very careful with. And one of them is charging too much money.
Right.
And so the ITC was like, okay, well, we kind of think along with these other companies that you're not being reasonable with how much you're charging for these patents.
Exactly. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. And I know that Apple's had a battle with Qualcomm for years, and they just kind of let it go. I mean, it was kind of like with Apple and Samsung, you know.
Yeah.
Apple's making Samsung richer. I mean, they're out there.
Yeah, but in a different way.
In a different way. Much different way. I mean, yeah. I mean, they're doing displays and a lot of the other stuff. So
yeah, because Samsung is a huge multinational conglomerate, and it's not just TVs and phones that they sell. I mean, they've got everything from washing machines to large shipping companies, and by large, I mean you see these huge ships that go from Asia or Africa to the U.S. or to wherever. Well, Samsung owns a fleet of these ships.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, that company is South Korea. I mean, it's just.
Oh yeah.
Largest company in that country, and then probably close to the world. I mean, it's a big company.
Yep.
It's real big. So, all right. So those were a couple of news stories that came to my mind here. But I wanted to talk about a couple apps, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, Guy. I don't know if you have a favorite app. Kind of give it some thought while I talk about my app here. There might be something that you use all the time that you want to talk about, or if there's something new that you caught your eye, and we'll come to you in just a minute. The one I decided on this episode is Hopper. Have you ever used Hopper, the travel app?
No, I have not.
Yeah, so this is a really cool app, and what it does is it's like a travel aggregator. So what you can do is you launch the app, and then you go through and put in the information what you're searching for, and it actually goes out, searches based on where you're located. So in my case, in Chicago, I'm going to want O'Hare, and then I would pick a different location. So I'm putting it in the phone here. Let's say I'm going to go to Tampa. So I put Tampa, Florida in there. It's going to go out, and then it gives you a calendar, and it shows you the rates of all the different flights and how expensive it would be during the times that you want to travel. So like right now, you look in July, it's $150 plus for the prime times during the next couple weeks in July. But if you look in August, it starts to drop less than that. So if you pick, let's say I'm going to go in August, I'll pick. You select the calendar, and then it actually shows in different colors, so you can see that. So on the 14th of August, it's $125 plus. I can pick that date to go out, and then I'm going to say I'm going to come back on Saturday the 19th, and I select these dates. And then what it does is you got a bunny hopping along here, fetching the latest price that's out there. You can filter it down, because there's a lot of times I refuse to fly on airlines like Spirit and Frontier and any of those mass discount airlines. So right now it came back as $186 round trip is the cheapest, and actually the ones I just got for my trip coming up, I got $149 round trip, which is pretty good for Tampa. So then you tap in shop flights, and then it shows the different airlines. And again, the $185 is Spirit. So I'll pay a little extra and I'll fly on United, or I'll fly on American. Although United does offer, United also does offer the discount, quote unquote, where you don't have to pay for putting in your bags and the overhead and all that stuff. So
yeah.
I know, but airlines are tough to deal with this stuff sometimes. And you go all the way down, it's $300, $350. So, but the cool thing is this actually now sets in as a search for that time that you're looking. So you can plan ahead. So you can actually go through and just it'll give you a notification on your iPhone, and it'll tell you, okay, it looks like this flight's dropped $20. Maybe it should be a good time to book now. So it's pretty cool, and you're seeing a lot of these types of apps out there for all kinds of those types of services and out there. And I thought it was a pretty cool app. Think you would use it?
Well, I avoid flying
That's
as
true.
much as I possibly can.
That's true.
I just, my son and I and a friend just drove down to Florida from Northern Virginia, and I'm getting ready on Wednesday to start a drive to Chicago.
Right.
Basically, my rule of thumb is if it's a 12-hour or shorter drive, I'll drive it.
Sure.
But yeah, I used to fly. I mean, a lot back in the mid '80s. I had a job where I was going overseas all the time.
Sure.
So.
Been there.
Yeah, flying is not as luxurious for me as it used to be, and the other problem I have is they keep making the seats smaller.
Yes,
and I am not a small person.
Nor am I.
Yeah.
Yep. It is a challenge. It really is. These seats are just getting more and more ridiculous. So, but anyway, that's another topic. But sorry. No, it's okay. No, I love the interaction here. Everything. The world revolves around iOS when it comes to anything we talk about here, because there's things we do that you'll end up using your iPhone, your iPad to do it. So, so I put you on the spot. Did you think of a particular app that you like to use?
Yeah. Actually, I got 3 here.
Okay. Good.
And they're all related to audio.
Okay.
One is called Spreaker, which is part of a podcasting service that you can sign up for. They'll host your audio files and all the rest of that stuff. But they have an iOS device that allows you to bring in other devices, microphones and things along those lines. You can set up pre-recorded audio content. So if you have opening jingles or silly sound effects, not that I would ever do anything like that. Damn it, I was supposed to be ready, but I wasn't ready. Let me bring it up. I'm going to try that one more time. So if you had, like silly sound effects or something else that you wanted to have play, you can set all that up ahead of time. Another good one that I like, and it does some of these same things that are similar. It's called Boss Jock, but it's not tied into any particular service. This is also a great podcasting app, or just something to record with. And the last one I use is kind of an editor. It's called Twisted Wave.
Yes,
it's a great audio editor for iOS.
Yeah, that one is really good. Spreaker interests me because we use Libsyn to upload our podcast. Is that similar to that type of service?
Sort of. It's one of these. The thing with Libsyn is that's basically what Libsyn does is host files.
Right.
It's a file hosting service. It's not necessarily just limited to audio and video. If you have an account with Libsyn, you can use their service for whatever it is you want to, upload to them, as long as it falls within how much space that you have contracted with them for. Whereas Spreaker, and there's another one called Mixler, it's basically a podcasting service where you're using their online services to record podcasts, to get people together, to interact with an audience, which is, and that's kind of a cool feature in itself. You can, before you start to do your podcast, you send out a link to people that follow you. They go on to the Spreaker website and they can listen live to whatever it is you're doing, make comments, and you see those comments in real time. So not unlike what I do with Facebook's Livecast, though. The thing about Facebook and their Livecast is I don't get the comments in real time.
It's quite a delay, because when I would be making comments, it would be a good 2 or 3 minutes before you'd be able to respond to my comments.
And a lot of that also has to do, and that's looking directly at the website through either Safari or Chrome.
Right.
If there's a program called Just Broadcaster that I would get comments in real time.
Okay.
But I had certain issues with it as compared to OBS, which is another program. So I kind of jump back and forth between those two, but this isn't a Mac show, so we won't go into all that. But yeah, I'm always looking for ways to be more interactive with the audience that I get in whatever way that I'm broadcasting.
That's great. And those 3 apps you mentioned, I will put that in our show notes so everybody can take a look at that. Coming down towards the end here, I wanted to talk about MacStock. We got a lot.
Okay.
It's 5 days away. I can't believe
it. I know.
I just went on the website. It's got it has the counter. MacStock2017.com, of course, is the website. And I'm looking at 5 days, 21 hours, 3 minutes, 40 seconds as we record this.
Well, 39 seconds.
Yeah, and it keeps dropping.
Yeah.
So I know you're going to do a lot of really fun session this year. It was the My Mac quiz, right?
Yes.
We don't want to give away too much, but just kind of give people a little idea what you're going to be doing with this.
Okay. We have to go back to the Macworld Expo because that's really where the My Mac quiz kind of started. There was one year in particular that Tim Robertson and I were sponsored to go to Macworld Expo. And what this company wanted us to do is stand outside their booth at Macworld and do something that would get people's attention and draw them toward, their stuff. And so Tim came up with this My Mac quiz where we take like iconic images from the past and give you just like a little piece of them. And then you have to kind of guess what these little pieces are, or we'll give you some kind of information on some kind of Mac trivia.
Right.
And if you get 3 questions right, you would win a prize. So that's what we're doing. We're taking what we did live at the Macworld Expo, and we did it both in conjunction with a sponsor and then also on the main stage one year. And we're gonna do this at at MacStock just after lunch on the first day, on Saturday.
Everybody will be all filled up with food and they'll be ready to have some fun.
Yeah. Have some fun. And Tim, I have to give Tim props because he has done almost all the work. Actually, he's done all the work. As far as putting the questions together and putting the quiz together, I'm basically like the Ed McMahon to his Johnny Carson.
Yes.
So I'm like, hey, and running around and acting like the fool, which people who know me will sit there and say, wow, really? Guy acts like a fool? who would have guessed that? And so it's gonna be a lot of fun, and you have a chance to win some great prizes from companies like ThoughtOut.biz and software licenses from Pixelmator and Softorino, and I have to say it like that or Gaz gets mad at me. There's also, there's another company too, and I can't think of what it is off the top of my. Mac Alley.
Yeah.
Mac Alley.
So
we got all these prizes to give away, and believe me, as far as the hardware goes that we have, we don't want to take it home. We don't want to send it back. We want to give it away. So if you don't know the answers to some of these questions, chances are we'll give you enough hints so that you can figure it out. And we have about 40 minutes. We're being given
you get the longer
2 sessions.
Yeah, you get the longer session. You and Allison got the longer session too.
Yes. Except Allison, of course, is going to be more serious as compared to me. And again, that shouldn't come as a shock to anybody. But it's going to be so much fun. And this is on top of everything else that the MacStock conference and expo is going to give you. And considering that it's $200 for two complete days,
look at this schedule.
2 meals, a party on Saturday night, T-shirts and mugs, and just all kinds of stuff. There, you can't spend a weekend in Chicago with $200 and come away with less or more fun than what the MacStock Expo is going to be.
I mean, you just look at the schedule. We have such great other speakers. Of course, I'm speaking, and I'll be speaking about iOS and being more organized and efficient. Wrapping up my presentation, getting that ready for you guys, and hoping that we can get everybody to come out because it's going to be a lot of fun. It's
an hour away from Chicago in Woodstock, Illinois, and if Chicago, the great thing about Chicago as compared to like San Francisco or New York
Right.
is you can get to Chicago from anywhere
Pretty much.
with a direct flight. Whereas that's not always going to be the case if you're going to the East Coast or the West Coast. And they have two huge airports to fly into.
Right. Well, I tend to recommend O'Hare. If you go to Midway,
Yeah,
it's going to be quite. You add an hour to your commute. So
yeah,
but no,
it's a great area. There's some great people in it that live in that area,
including me,
including you and Barry
and
Mike. The food is fantastic, and I'm not just talking about for Macstock, but just the food in general in that area is great.
Sure is.
The people are great. The city, and just putting aside Macstock for just a second, there is so much to do in Chicago between sporting events and museums and everything else. If all you want to do is come to Macstock for those 2 days, great. If you have more time, make Chicago a destination and spend a couple days either before or after Macstock and get to know the great city of Chicago.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm born and raised in Chicago. Love the city.
Yeah.
And
my mother was from Harvard.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually not far from where we're going to be.
Yeah.
It's a great city, and you'll have a lot of fun. You know what? The biggest thing is you just said you'll meet people. I mean, the networking is just off the charts. It's just what a great way to be able to meet people. I met you. I've met Chuck Joyner speaking, and Allison, and all these other great folks, and they're all accessible, including me. If you have a question about iOS, we'll all be happy to talk to you. I mean, that's what we love doing,
and especially if you never had the chance to go to something like the Mac World Expo,
right? Oh.
The great thing about the Macworld Expo wasn't the case makers. It wasn't all the vendors.
Right.
It wasn't walking all of those aisles to look at all the stuff that was there. It was to be there with all of the people that were there and to get to know them. And a lot of times, because of how big the Macworld Expo was, you couldn't get access to a lot of these people. Whereas the Macstock Conference and Expo is still relatively small, and nearly, as far as I know, every speaker that's going to be there, when they're not on stage, will be available to talk to. There's going to be deeper dives for some of the topics that people are doing.
I'll be doing one of those.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, this is the kind of show that other conferences should be coming to check out and kind of steal some of the things that Mike is doing.
Yep. So we would love to come see. I would love you to come out, and hopefully you're one of our listeners, and you've already registered, or if not, it's still not too late to register.
No, it's not. You can even show up on the day of the event
on site. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a T-shirt, because the T-shirt orders already been put in. So, but I'm sure Mike could work something out for you. It all depends on what he.
Yeah, I hope he's got a 2XL for me.
Yeah, I think he does.
Okay, good.
3X for me. We're big guys.
Well, I'm tall as well,
yeah,
so that makes it even harder.
Yeah, because it gets too short on you. So the event is on July 15th and 16th. That's less than a week away from as we record this. And go to macstock2017.com. Like I said, you could go to both days. You can go one day. You can go to both days and not go to the Midwest Mac Mingle, which is, of course, is going to be between days. Barry's Midwest Mac Mingle after.
Oh, and don't forget about the Mac Swap.
Yep. Oh yeah, the Mac Swap.
I'm bringing a bunch of stuff.
Are you doing? Okay, great. Because then that's all going to be donated. So it's all free stuff. Whatever you want. You might find something there that you may want. We're not selling anything. It's just this mere. All of us tech geeks always have a whole closet full of stuff that maybe somebody wants. I think about it. I might have a few things that I might want to get rid of too. I should just put on the table. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, my wife keeps trying to get me to take some of my old computers out there. It's like, I'm not doing that.
Well, that might be tough.
Yeah.
And plus, you got to make sure the drives are erased and all that stuff. Yeah. So, but no, come on out. We would love to see you. I would love to see you. I would love to see you, and we'd all have just a great time. And like I said, this was my third year as well, and I can't wait. It's going to be a blast. So, with that, Guy, I think we want to wrap this puppy up.
Okay.
where can everybody find you? Again, let's remind everybody, and I really can't say enough. I appreciate you being with us today.
Oh, sure.
And,
sure. I would say guy@mymac.com as an email, but I am not so sure about that at the moment.
Yeah, because I just sent you an email and it didn't go through.
Yeah, it didn't quite get there. gsearle1@gmail.com is a good one to send that to. You can also find me on Twitter. I am Mac Parrot over there on Twitter. The mymac.com podcast, of course, you can listen to the various rambunctious ramblings from Gaz and myself over there. And, of course, if you are on Facebook, and who the hell isn't these days,
you should be.
Join the Mac to the Future group. And almost every Wednesday. Won't be this Wednesday because I'll be traveling.
That's right.
Almost every Wednesday night, I do a live show starting about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's usually half hour, 45 minutes of me just rambling about whatever crazy stuff comes into my head.
And yes, and we probably, more than likely, I know you are, I will probably as well. We might even do some podcasting while we're at MacStock.
Very much so.
We're crazy like that. We'll probably appear on each other's shows and...
Well, before we go, something Gaz, because I recorded the MyMac show yesterday with Gaz, and we just did 664. And I was telling him after we got done that I'll probably record a couple podcasts while I'm out there at MacStock. And he was like, well, wait a second. What are you going to number them? And I said, well, I mean, it'll be 665. And then I stopped and I thought about it. And it was like, you know what? It's going to have to be 665A, 665B, and however many there are, because I've got to save that next one for when I'm actually sitting down with Gaz.
That's going to be a scary one. For
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, almost every week is like that.
This is true. But Gaz is a great guy.
He is.
So,
shame he steals. No, I'm kidding.
Anyway, thanks for listening, and we really hope that you're more in touch with iOS after hearing this episode. Subscribe to our podcast in your favorite podcatcher. You can also find us on iTunes, and show your friends and share this with your friends in iTunes. We look forward to bringing you more useful information in future episodes. And with that, I am David Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. And Guy, where can we find you on Twitter?
Oh, I'm Mac Parrot. Rock!
Yes. And until next time, thanks for listening.